Have you ever noticed that the more you worry about your life, the more everything seems to slip through your fingers? Your mind tells you that if you think hard enough, plan carefully enough, or prepare for every possible outcome, you'll finally feel in control. But instead, you replay conversations that are already over, imagine disasters that may never happen, and carry the weight of problems that don't even exist yet. What feels like preparation is often just fear wearing the mask of responsibility. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain has convinced you that worrying keeps you safe. It doesn't. It only steals your peace, long before reality ever has the chance to. So let me ask you something. When was the last time worrying actually solved one of your problems? Not delayed it, not distracted you from it, actually solved it. The Stoics understood something that most people spend their entire lives missing. The harder you try to control every outcome, the more powerless you become. But the moment you stop fighting every uncertainty, something unexpected begins to happen. The world may not change overnight, but the way you experience it changes completely. And what if the life you've been desperately trying to force isn't falling apart at all? What if it's already unfolding exactly as it should, and your constant worrying is the only thing preventing you from seeing it? Stay with me, because the 6 Stoic truths Borkind have helped people remain calm through uncertainty, find clarity in chaos, and reclaim the peace they thought they had lost. One of these truths may completely change the way you think about worry, and once you understand, you'll never see your problems the same way again. Most people believe worrying is proof that they care. They tell themselves that if they think about the problem long enough, they'll eventually discover the perfect answer. So they replay old mistakes before falling asleep, rehearse conversations that haven't happened, and mentally live through disasters that may never come. It feels productive because the mind is constantly working, but activity is not the same as progress. In reality, every minute spent feeding imaginary problems is a minute stolen from solving real ones. Here's what most people never realize. Your brain often mistakes worry for preparation. It convinces you that staying anxious means you're staying alert, when in truth, you're only exhausting yourself before the challenge has even arrived. The greatest battles are rarely lost in reality. They's lost inside the mind long before anything actually happens. This is exactly why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the mind always has a choice. You can spend your energy resisting what has never been under your control, or you can invest it in the only place where your power truly exists, the present moment. Worry lives in the world of what if. Wisdom lives in the world of what now. The instant your attention abandons the present, your ability to influence your life begins to disappear with it. Think about the last time you faced a serious problem. Was the solution born from endless worrying? Or did it finally appear the moment you stopped panicking, accepted reality, and took one clear step forward? That's the illusion anxiety creates. It disguises mental suffering as responsibility, making you believe you're preparing for life when you're actually draining yourself before life even begins. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology continues to confirm. A calm mind sees possibilities that an anxious mind simply cannot. Two people can stand in front of the exact same obstacle. One sees only danger, the other sees a path forward. The difference isn't intelligence, luck, or talent. It's the ability to remain steady when uncertainty arrives. So before your mind rushes toward another imaginary disaster, pause and ask yourself one question. Is this thought moving me toward action, or is it quietly stealing my peace? Your answer may reveal that the heaviest burden you've been carrying was never the problem itself. It was the constant fear of a future that hadn't even happened. And once you truly understand that, you'll be ready for the second Stoic truth, one that explains why trying to control everything is often the very thing keeping you powerless. Most people aren't overwhelmed because life is unpredictable. They're overwhelmed because they're trying to control what was never theirs to control in the first place. Every day, They fight invisible battles against uncertainty, hoping that if they plan enough, think enough, or worry enough, life will finally become predictable. But no amount of overthinking has ever stopped disappointment from arriving. People change without warning. Opportunities disappear. Plans fall apart. And the harder you grip life, the faster peace slips through your fingers. This is where Stoic wisdom completely changes the game. Epictetus taught that freedom begins the moment you stop confusing influence with control. You have complete authority over your choices, your character, and your response, but outcomes have never belonged to you. You cannot control how others think, when opportunities appear, or what tomorrow will bring. The endless struggle begins when you demand certainty from a world that has never promised it. Imagine standing in the middle of a violent storm at sea. The waves crash against your boat, the wind pushes from every direction, and panic tells you to fight the storm itself. But the sailor who survives doesn't waste a single drop of energy trying to stop the wind. He studies it. He adjusts his sails. He works with reality instead of arguing against it. Ironically, the very force that looked like his enemy becomes the reason he reaches the shore. Life works exactly the same way. Acceptance isn't surrender. It's the moment you stop fighting reality and finally begin moving with it. Now ask yourself something that may change the way you see every stressful situation. How much of your suffering comes from the problem itself, and how much comes from your refusal to accept that some things were never yours to control? Most anxiety isn't created by uncertainty. It's created by our resistance to it. The moment you stop demanding guarantees from life, your mind becomes quieter, your decisions become clearer, your energy returns to the present, where every meaningful action begins. And that's when something remarkable happens. The world may remain uncertain, but for the first time, you no longer need it to be certain in order to find peace. But accepting uncertainty is only the beginning. The next Stoic truth reveals why the search for constant certainty may be the very habit that's keeping you trapped. Fear has ended more opportunities than failure ever could. The moment panic takes control, your world begins to shrink. Decisions become impulsive. Problems appear larger than they really are. Every possibility starts looking like a threat, and what could have been a temporary obstacle suddenly feels like the end of the road. That's why the people who succeed under pressure aren't always the smartest, the fastest, or the strongest. More often, they're simply the calmest. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than almost anyone in history. He stood at the center of an empire surrounded by war, deadly disease, political betrayal, and constant uncertainty. Yet while chaos raged around him, he refused to let it invade his own mind. His greatest strength wasn't that life spared him from hardship, it was that fear never became the voice that made his decisions. While others reacted emotionally, he paused, observed, thought clearly, and acted with purpose. That quiet discipline became one of his greatest advantages. Modern psychology points to the same truth. When fear overwhelms you, your brain shifts into survival mode. Instead of searching for solutions, it scans only for danger. Your perspective narrows until like trying to admire an entire landscape through a tiny keyhole. The opportunities haven't disappeared. They're simply hidden behind the noise of your own anxiety. But the moment your mind becomes calm, everything changes. Your perspective widens. Solutions become visible. Conversations worth having. Opportunities worth taking. And lessons hidden inside setbacks suddenly come into focus. The next time uncertainty enters your life, resist the urge to react immediately. Pause. Take one slow breath. Observe before you respond. That brief moment of stillness may become the difference between a decision you regret and one that changes your future. More often than not, the real obstacle isn't the challenge standing in front of you. It's the frightened mind looking at it. Quiet the fear, and you'll discover that many of the doors you believed were locked had been open all along. And that leads to another surprising Stoic truth. Sometimes the greatest obstacle isn't fear or uncertainty at all. It's the silent expectations you've been carrying without even realizing it. The fastest way to lose your peace isn't through failure. It's by refusing to accept that failure has already happened. The moment life doesn't match your expectations, your mind begins arguing with reality. This shouldn't have happened. Why me? Things weren't supposed to turn out like this. Every one of those thoughts feels justified, yet every one of them keeps you trapped in a fight you can never win. Reality doesn't pause while you protest it. It keeps moving forward, leaving you exhausted from battling something that can no longer be changed. This is one of the most powerful lessons the Stoics ever taught. Seneca believed that events themselves are often far less painful than the meaning we attach to them. Losing a job hurts. A broken relationship hurts. Watching years of effort collapse hurts. That pain is real. But when you add resentment, endless regret, self-pity, and the constant replaying of what should have been, you transform a temporary wound into a lifelong prison. The event lasts for a moment. Resistance can make it last for years. Picture two people standing in the ruins of the exact same setback. One spends every day searching for someone to blame, replaying every mistake, and waiting for life to become fair again. The other grieves, accepts what cannot be changed, and asks a different question. What is this trying to teach me? From that single question, two completely different futures begin to unfold. Their circumstances were identical. Their mindset was not. This is why the Stoics never confused acceptance with surrender. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve of what happened, lower your standards, or stop pursuing a better future. It means you stop wasting today's strength trying to rewrite yesterday. The moment you stop fighting reality, your mind finally has the freedom to shape what comes next. Your problems may still exist, but they no longer control your direction, because you're stopped giving the past the power to steal your future. And here's the surprising part. Accepting reality is only half the journey. The final Stoic truth reveals why true peace doesn't come from changing your circumstances. It comes from changing the relationship you have with your own thoughts. If you truly want to understand why worrying feels impossible to stop, don't begin by looking at the problems in your life. Begin by listening to the voice inside your own mind, because most anxiety isn't created by reality, it's comet. Once created by the story you keep telling yourself about reality. One unanswered message suddenly becomes, "They're avoiding me." One mistake at work turns into, "I'm going to lose everything." A single setback convinces you that your entire future is falling apart. Little by little, your mind stops treating possibilities as possibilities and starts treating them as certainty. Before long, imagined fears feel more real than the facts in front of you. This is why the Stoics insisted that your first battle is never with the world. It's with your interpretation of it. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the judgments they make about those events. The event may be neutral, your interpretation gives it power. Every fearful thought you accept without questioning quietly shapes your emotions, your choices, and eventually your life. Left unchecked, your own imagination can become a prison that no one else can see. Think about how many nights you've lost sleep over things that never happened. The conversation you rehearsed never took place. The rejection you expected never arrived. The disaster you pictured existed only inside your imagination. Yet your body couldn't tell the difference. Your heart raced. Your chest tightened. Your sleep disappeared. Your peace slipped away. Not because reality was attacking you, but because your mind kept replaying a story it had written without evidence. The next time anxiety begins to take over, don't ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Ask something far more powerful. What are the facts? And what assumptions has my mind quietly added? That single question creates a small but life-changing distance between you and your thoughts. And inside that distance, clarity begins to grow. The noise becomes quieter, Your judgment becomes stronger. You stop reacting to every frightening story your mind invents and start responding to what is actually real. Because one of the greatest freedoms you'll ever discover isn't changing every circumstance around you. It's realizing that you don't have to believe every thought that passes through your mind. The final Stoic truth may be the one that changes everything. Life doesn't become easier the moment you stop worrying, but it becomes infinitely lighter. Your problems don't suddenly disappear. Deadlines still exist. People still disappoint you. Uncertainty doesn't vanish overnight. What disappears is the invisible weight your own mind has been adding to every challenge. And for many people, that weight has been far heavier than the problems themselves. This is the quiet battle most people never notice. One part of the mind longs for peace, while another refuses to let go of fear. One part wants to trust life, while the other demands guarantees that life has never promised. Day after day, that inner conflict quietly drains your energy until even small decisions begin to feel overwhelming. You're not exhausted only because life is difficult. You're exhausted because you're constantly fighting yourself. The Stoics understood that real strength begins with inner harmony. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to bring his thoughts, actions, and values into alignment. The moment you stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world, your attention returns to the only place where your true power has ever existed, the present moment. You stop trying to control every outcome and begin becoming the kind of person who can face any outcome with courage. Think about the people who seem quietly confident. It isn't because nothing ever goes wrong for them. It isn't because they've eliminated every risk. It's because they've built something far more valuable than certainty. They've built trust in themselves. They know that even if life surprises them, they'll adapt. They'll learn. They'll stand back up. That kind of confidence can't be taken away by failure because it was never built on perfect circumstances in the first place. So ask yourself one final question. What if the life you've been waiting for doesn't begin when everything finally goes according to plan? What if it begins the moment you stop fighting yourself? The day you release the need to control every outcome is the day you create space for clarity, resilience, and genuine peace. And that's the greatest Stoic lesson of all. Everything doesn't fall into place because the world suddenly changes. Everything begins to fall into place because you do. Life has a remarkable way of repeating the same lesson until we're finally ready to understand it. We worry because we believe it will protect us. We chase certainty because we think it will make us feel safe. We resist change because we're afraid of what might happen if we let go. Yet the Stoics discovered something that still changes lives today. Peace has never come from controlling the world around you. It has always come from mastering the world within you. If there's one lesson to carry with you after today, let it be this. Your greatest enemy has never been uncertainty itself. It has been the belief that you were supposed to eliminate uncertainty before you could finally live in peace. But life has never made that promise. It has only asked you to meet each moment with courage, wisdom, and presence. Every one of the 6 Stoic truths you've heard points toward the same realization. Worry is not preparation, fear is not wisdom, and peace is not something waiting for you in a perfect future. Peace is built one decision at a time. Every time you choose calm over panic, acceptance over resistance, and action over endless overthinking. Those small choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they shape your character, and your character shapes your entire life. So the next time your mind begins racing toward the worst possible outcome, pause and remember this. Your future is not created by the fears you imagine. It is created by the decisions you make despite those fears. You don't need to know exactly what tomorrow will bring. You only need the courage to face it when it arrives. And if you can do that, you'll discover something extraordinary. The peace you've been searching for was never waiting somewhere in the future. It was quietly growing inside you every time you chose not to let fear make your decisions. Now I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Which of these 6 Stoic truths stayed with you the most, and why? Share it in the comments. Your experience may be exactly what someone else needs to read today. If this video helped you see worry in a new way, subscribe for more practical Stoic wisdom you can use in everyday life. And if you're ready to take the next step toward becoming mentally stronger, watch the next video. Because mastering your mind isn't a destination, it's a practice that can transform every part of your life.